आज हम लोग पढ़ेंगे स्ट्रक्चरल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इन प्लांट एंड एनिमल्स यूनिट 2, जिसमें कि पढ़ेंगे चैप्टर 5, चैप्टर 6, चैप्टर 7। मॉर्फोलॉजी ऑफ फ्लावरिंग प्लांट। The description of the diverse forms of life on Earth was made only by observation through naked eye, and later through magnifying lenses and microscopes. This description is mainly of gross structural features, both external and internal. In addition, observable and perceivable living phenomena were also recorded as a part of this description before experimental biology and more superficial physiology was established. As a part of biology, naturalists described only biology. Hence, biology remained as a natural story for a long time. This description by itself was amazing in terms of detail. While the initial reaction of a student could be a boredom, one should keep in mind that the detailed description was utilized in the later day reductionist biologists where living process drew more attention from a scientist than the description of life forms and their structural. Hence, the description become a fuel and helpful in forming research question in a physiology of evolutionary biology. In the following chapter of this unit, the structural organization of plants and animals, including the structural basis of physiology and behavioral phenomena, is described for a convenience. The description of morphologically and anatomically feature is presented separately for plant and animals. Catherine Issue was born in U. Catherine Issue was born in Ukraine in 1908. She studied agriculture in Russia and Germany and received her doctorate in 1931. His United States reported in her earlier publication that the Curly-Top virus spread through a plant by the food-conducting phloem tissue. Dr. Issu's Plant Anatomy, published in 1954, took a dynamic development approaches designed to enhance one's understanding of plant structure and an enormous impact worldwide, literally bringing about is a revival of the discipline. The Anatomy of Seed Plant by Catherine Issue was published in 1960. It was referred to as a Webster of plant biology. It is a encyclopedic. In 1957, she was elected to the National Academy of Science, becoming the sixth woman to receive that honor. In addition to this prestigious award, she received the National Medal of Science from President Gregor Bush 1989. When Catherine Issue did die in the year 1997, Peter Raman, director of anatomy and morphology, Missouri Botanical Garden, remembered that she obviously dominated the field of plant biology even at the age of 99. मार्फोलॉजी ऑफ फ्लावरिंग प्लांट टॉपिक हम लोग को पढ़ना है। The root, the stem, the leaf, the inflorescence, the flower, the fruit, the seeds. Semi-technical description of a typical flowering plant. Description of some important families. The wide range in a structural of higher plant will never fail of fascinated us even thought the angiosperm show such a large diversity in external structure of morphology. They are all characterized by presence of root, stem, leaf, flower, and fruit. In chapter 2 and 3, we talked about the classification of plant based on morphologically and other characteristics. For any successful attempt at classification and understanding any higher plant matter, any living organism, we need to know standard technical terms and standard definition. We also need to know about the possible variation in different parts found as adaptation of the plant to their environment. Example, adaptation to various habitats for protection, climbing, storage. If you pull out any weed, you will see that all of them have root, stem, and leaves. They may be bearing flower and fruit. The underground part of the flowering plant is the root system, while the portion above ground forms the root system. The root. In majority of dicotyledon plants, the direct elongation of the radicle leads to the formation of primary root, which grow inside the soil. It bears lateral roots of several orders that are referred to as a secondary, tertiary, etc. root. The primary root and its branches constitute the taproot system, as seen in the mustard plant. Primary root, secondary root. In monocotyledonous plant, the primary root is short-lived and is replaced by a large number of roots. These roots originate from the base of the stem and constitute the fibrous root system, as seen in the wheat plant. Fibrous root, that means this compactly arranged in a root, as seen in the wheat plant. In some plants like grass, monstera, and the banana tree, root arises from a part of plant other than radicle and are called adventitious root. The main function of this root system are absorption of water and minerals from the soil, providing a proper and charge to the plant part storing reserve for material and synthesis of plant growth regulators. The leaves between the two stems, it is known as a bud, and two node between the internode. Fruit, stems, leaf, flower. Adventitious root. Lateral root, fibrous root, and adventitious root. Region of root. The root is covered at the apex by the thimble-like structure called a root cap. The region of meristematic activity, root cap. It protects the tender apex of the root. As the ape makes its way through the soil, a few millimeters above the root cap is the region of meristematic activity. The cells of this region are very small, thin, wall, and with dense protoplasm. They divided repeatedly. The cells proximal are to this region undergo rapid elongation and enlargement and are responsible for the growth of the root in length. This region is called the region of elongation. The cells of the elongation zone gradually differentiated and mature. Hence, this zone proximal to region of elongation is called the region of maturation. From this region, some of the epidermal cells form very fine and delicate thread-like structure called root hairs. These root hairs absorb water and minerals from the soil. Modification of root region of maturation, root hair, region of elongation, region of meristematic activity, root cap. Modification of root is some plants change their shape and structure and become modified to perform a function other than absorption and conduction of water and minerals. They are modified for support, storage of food and respiration. Modification of root for support banyan tree, bargat. That means bargat. Taproot of a carrot, turnip, and adventitious root of sweet potato. Get swollen and store food. Can you give some more such example? That's mean a potato tree, potato plants and Raphinus sativus. How have you ever wondered what those hanging structures that support a banyan tree are? These are a banyan tree and Ficus religiosa, that is a people. These are called prop roots. Similarly, the stems of maize and sugarcane have supporting roots coming out of the lower nodes of the stem. These are called stilt roots, bambusa. In some plants, such as rhizophora, growing in swampy areas, many roots come out of the ground and grow vertically upward. Such root called pneumatophores help to get oxygen for respiration. Aspar- asparagus, asparagus, turnip, carrot, sweet potato, pneumatophores. The stem. What the stem? What are the features that distinguish a stem from a root? The stem is the ascending part of exit bearing branches, leaf, flower, and fruit. It develops from the plumule of the embryo of the germinating seed. The stem bear node and internode. The region of the stem where leaves are born are called node, while internode are the portion between two nodes. The stem bears bud which may be terminal. A axillary stem is generally green when young and later often become woody and darky brown. The main function of the stem is spreading out branches bearing leaves, flower and fruit, conduct water, mineral and photosynthetic. Some stems perform the function of storage of food, support, protection and of vegetative propagation, Modification of stem. The stem may not always be typically like what they are expected to be. They are modified to performing different functions. Underground stem of potato, ginger, turnip, jamicand, colocasia are modified to store food in them. They also act as an organ of permanence to tide over condition unfavorable for growth. Stem tendrils which develop from axillary buds are slender and spirally coiled and help plant to climb, such as in a gourd, cucumber, pumpkin, watermelon, and grapevis. Axillary bud of stem may also get modified into woody, straight, and pointed thorns. Thorns are found in many plants, such as citrus, bougainvillea. They protect plants from browsing animals. Some plants of arid region modify their stem into flattened Apustinia, a fleshy cylindrical euphorbia structure. They contain chlorophyll and carry out photosynthetic. Ginger, jamkand, potato, axillary bud modify into tendrils. Stem modify into spine. Axillary root arising from nodes. Undergrounding stem of some plants such as grass and strawberry. It is spread to new niche, and when older part die, new plant are formed in plant like mint and jasmine. A slender lateral branches arises from the base of the main axis, and after growing laterally from same time arch downward to touch the ground. A lateral branch with short internode and each node bearing a rosette of leaves and a tuft of fruit is found in a quiet plant like pistia and Icarnia, in banana, pineapple, and chrysanthemum. The lateral branch of originate from the basal and underground portion of the main stem, grow horizontally beneath the soil, and then come out obliquely upward, giving rise to leafy shoots. The leaf. The leaf is a lateral, generally flattened structure borne on the stem. It is developed at the node and bears a bud in its axil. The axillary bud later develop into a branch. Leaves originate from shoot apical meristem and are arranged in a acropetal order. They are the most important vegetative organ for photosynthetic. A typical leaf consists of three main parts: leaf base, petiole, and lamina. The leaf stipules, petiole, axillary bud, leaf base, lamina. Leaf base and petiole and lamina is more important character of leaf. The leaf is attached to stem by the leaf base and may bear two lateral small leaf like structure called stipules. In monocotyledon, the leaf base expands into a sheath covering the stems partially or wholly. In some leguminous plant, the leaf base may become swollen, which is called the pulvinous. The petiole help hold the blade to light along the thin, flexible petiole allow the leaf blades to flutter in wind, thereby cooling the leaf and bringing fresh air to leaf surface. The leaf blade is the green, expanded part of the leaf with veins and veinlets. There is usually a middle prominent vein, which is known as the midrib veins, provided rigidity to the leaf blade and act as channels of transport for water, minerals, and food materials. The shape, margin, apex surface, and extent of incision of lamina varies in different leaves. Venation. The range of veins and venillets in the lamina of leaf, termed as a venation, when the venillate from a network, the venation is termed reticulate. When the veins then parallel to each other within a lamina, the venation is termed as a parallel. Leaves of a dicotyledon plant generally possess reticulate venation, while parallel venation is the characteristic of the most monocotyledon. Parallel venation and B. Parallel venation and reticulated venation. Structure of leaf. Parts of leaf: reticulate venation, stipules, lamina, leaf, axillary bud.